Take three. I am Isis with Sistah Sci-Fi, and this is Sistah Sci-Fi Wind Down Wednesday, where we work hard to make Wednesday your new favorite day of the week. So if you've been following our socials, you know that today we are discussing Blood Moon by Britney S. Lewis. Our amazing co-host is a returning co-host, Sasha Marguerite. So if you're a fan of the Vampire Diaries, of the originals, of True Blood, of that other YA vampire werewolf teen romance that shall remain unnamed, you will love Blood Moon, which is the first of a series. Mira, sometimes Bells, will be one of your favorite heroines, and I'm excited to discuss this book with the author and Sasha and y'all today. So while I wait for them to join, please let me know how your week has been in the chat. Thank you for your patience and for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. Somebody said somewhere that at some time it's Mercury retrograde, so I'm gonna go with that. Mercury is retrograding, so let me know how your week has been in the chat. I know the book is on several people's to-be-our list, so let me know how it made it to the list, and as I talk to Sasha, please drop your questions in the chat. Okay. Sasha is working on getting better Wi-Fi. And I think Brittany started her own live. Hi. So I'm sending her the link. Things will go great, and we will be discussing the book in a second together. Hey Deb, how are you? If you want to learn more information about the book, I'm dropping the link to the detail page on sistersci-fi.com. Again, just drop a note in the chat. Let me know how your week has been. Hey, Celestially Yours. I feel like it's been a while. So good to see you virtually. At least to see your little headshot. Brittany and Sasha will be joining any second now. Links have been sent. I'm sure Sasha, yes, Britney S. Lewis. Links have been sent. Calendar add-ins have been sent. Yeah, so I hope everything has been well. You've been out there reading a lot of books and connecting with amazing people and getting lots and lots of rest and drinking lots and lots of water. Oh, hey, here's Sasha Marguerite. Awesome. So it looks like you found better internet connection. I see your request. I'm going. Hey, so you also live in Kansas, and I think that's Kansas City, Missouri, and not Kansas City, Kansas. So yeah. Sasha, I'm accepting. Let me know if it's updating on your end. Yay, and I see Brittany. I'm accepting the join request. Okay, I don't know why it's not joining. Yay! Yay! Hi. How are
I'm so
you?
happy it worked. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. We finally got it to work, so sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Oh my God, you're fine. You're A-okay. I've been having all the issues because for whatever reason, my phone is not connecting to my Bluetooth and I'm all the things. All the things. So it's fine. We're surviving.
We're here. We're doing the thing. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great today. It's been a lovely day. Lots of great, fun news. So I'm having a good time. What about you?
I am good. You're here, which is great. I'm not quite sure what's happening with Sasha, but she'll be joining soon.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I got all your pre-orders out, so thank you for the beautiful book plates. I got to immersive read the book with the audio book. So yeah, I feel everything in my world feels really good.
mhm,
Um, and
good.
It's probably always warm in Kansas City in the summer, but it's been warm the past couple of days in Oakland, so that feels amazing. Um, what I'm holding my attention is that a couple minutes, Sasha will be able to join. Yay! Look at the universe.
Finally.
So
I'm an
happy
IT person,
it
so it
worked
was freaking
out.
me out. It was freaking me out. I was like, I work in IT all day. How can I not make my Wi-Fi work?
I feel you. I think there's something in the water because my Wi-Fi has been having a lot of glitchy issues as well. So I don't blame you.
Yeah. Brittany, I'm so excited you're here. Thank you for saying yes. Oh, yay, Deb. It's Deb's first Sister Sci-Fi Wind Down Wednesday. Huzzah! So before we do anything else, Brittany's going to introduce herself, and then we're going to talk about Blood Moon. But before we do anything else, I have to do a PSA. There's this little white arrow here. You can click it. You can follow Britney S. Lewis. You can follow Sister Sci-Fi. You can follow Sasha Marguerite and stay abreast of all the cool things that we're doing out here in cyberspace. No spacesuit needed. Okay, Brittany, tell us about yourself. Please introduce yourself.
Oh my goodness. Hi, I am Brittany. I'm from Kansas City and I wrote the book Blood Moon, which is a instant #1 New York Times bestseller, which is crazy to say. And I'm so excited to be here today. Blood Moon is a paranormal fantasy romance that follows our main character, Mira, as she uncovers the truth of her town's legends, which is that werewolves and vampires are actually real. And she finds herself in a very tumultuous enemies to lovers and also friends to lovers romance with a couple of those paranormal creatures. And in the midst of an ancient magical war, because, of course.
Of course, of course, of
Of
course,
course.
of course. Um, Yay. Um, Sasha, I'll take the first question and we can dive right into it. Sound good? So let's see
Yes.
what's putting our city on the map. Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri. I'm a Kansan, but I'll go for both.
So no, I'm here for it. Not to be confused with Kansas City, Missouri. I know Kansas City, Kansas. I know the first time when people were like, "Yeah, you're in Kansas City, Kansas, right?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." Anyway, jumping into the questions. Brittany, thank you again for being here. I found Blood Moon to be lyrical and insightful. My question for you is, what do you think about reviews comparing Blood Moon to Vampire Diaries, the originals, True Blood, etc.?
Yeah, I honestly, it's a high compliment. You know what I mean? Like writing a book in this genre where vampires and werewolves have been done so frequently, it is no surprise to me that I will get consistent comparisons to the Vampire Diaries, True Blood, the originals, Twilight. And honestly, I think it's just the genre. Like when you think about paranormal fantasy, you immediately think of all the things that came before it, and whenever I was writing Blood Moon, I definitely wanted to share a lot of those same tropes that made those TV shows and books so impactful. So whenever I was writing it, I was like, okay, cool. So like, if I do this, I have to have X, Y, Z, which is all the tropes that are really common in paranormal fantasy and paranormal romance. So there's no surprise there that the comparisons exist, but I do feel like it's definitely a really good comp if someone loves those shows or those original books. Blood and Moon would fit in perfectly beside all of them.
And I love that the book is very self-aware about like the tropes that it's playing with. Like it's very meta in that way. Sasha, I'll let you take the next question.
Okay. So your protagonist Mira she's in the middle of navigating an identity in a really layered ways. How did you find Mira's voice, and what made her perspective so central to the novel?
Yeah, Mira was such an interesting character to write. I got her voice almost pretty immediately, like in my head while I was starting to write Blood Moon. I just heard this very like witty, sarcastic, kind of like angry girl. And when I was writing her, I knew that I really wanted her to be a layered character. And by being a layered character, I wanted to add some emotional depth to her. I thought it was really important that Mira kind of figures out how she feels emotionally um, while she's like in her journey of Blood Moon. So for Mira, she is feeling abandoned, right? Like her mother is not in her life. And so what do you do and how do you react if you're feeling abandoned by the parent? Especially when you're starting a new area in your life, like going off to college. You might have feelings arise like envy and jealousy and anger, and those are all normal feelings. And so when I wrote Mira, I wanted her to have a little bit of that feminine rage. You know, I wanted her to be angry, and I wanted us to be able to um, really dive into what does it mean to be angry and that feeling being an okay emotion to have. And it really does come down to what you do with your anger that either makes you a good person, quote unquote, or a bad person, right? A villain, if you will. And so writing her, I just really wanted her to be a little bit more complicated. I really wanted her to be relatable. I felt like myself personally, I struggled with a lot of the same issues that Mira struggled with. And so it was easy to be able to write about feeling displaced and write about feeling angry when, especially I think for a lot of women, we don't talk about being angry enough.
Mm.
Yeah, because I think Mira starting college at the beginning is a very tumultuous time in your life, and coming to the point where she's abandoned, and her father, Bobby, is such a parent that he tries to make her not feel abandoned, but it's all up in her, in the head, and in the heart that she just doesn't feel wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it really is. Like, I like to think about like abandonment. It's almost kind of like a form of PTSD. You know what I mean? Like it's going to affect you at different times. And it's not always going to be a controlled thing. Like it just hits you. You remember that there's this hole and this gap in your life and you can't really fill it. And you are left with memories. And I think the confusing part for Mira is she is unaware at the start of the story if her mother is alive or if she's dead. And so that brings even more complicated feelings because if she is alive, why did she leave? And if she is dead, then can she grieve her mom? I feel like she's having a lot of those struggles. So, and it honestly, it made it easy to bring her character to light, especially when we foil her against Seven and Julian.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
This is not on the list, but since Sasha asked that question, how, what are the nuances between Mira's voice and your voice, Brittany?
Yeah. So I honestly feel like Mira's just way more confident than I am. I am a very like my friends would tell you that they would probably think that I'm extroverted, but I'm actually very introverted. I put myself in a lot of situations that make me have to be an extroverted person, but I prefer to be alone. And I would say that that's probably a similarity that I have to Mira. Like I enjoy being alone. Another similarity is I also hate running because it's just not fun, and Mira hates running. But as far as like writing Mira's character and then myself, I really do feel like she is someone that I wish I could have been in college. You know, whenever I started university, I was kind of meek. I was very confused. I really was trying to find my way in who I was. And the thing that I admire about Mira and writing her is she already kind of feels confident in who she is. She is really just trying to have an emotional hold. She's trying to get an emotional hold on like her feelings and how she feels about the world. And obviously, her identity starts to become a question as the story goes on. But I feel like learning who she like when we meet her, she's pretty confident in who she is and kind of what she wants. And she's also kind of a sucker for her father. And I love the relationship between Mira and Bobby, and Bobby trying his hardest to just be dad of the year all the time.
Can I ask another question, Oscar, Sasha? I I was like, it's so fascinating that Mira calls her dad by his first name. And I was like, is this because I'm old or because I'm West African? I was like, Bobby just sent me a text. And I was like, wait, which one of Mira's little friends is Bobby? I was like, that's the dad.
I thought that point was interesting because I see it as like she's kind of, after the abandonment of her mother, she separates herself from her parents by calling them by their names. Her
Yeah.
mom is Rena, her dad is Bobby. Like she's kind of isolating herself away from them in such a way, kind of.
Yeah,
If that
absolutely. It's that dissonance. It's like, how can I protect myself in the situation because of the fear? Like, what if Bobby leaves? Like, what if something happens to him? Then it's easier for me to put up a barrier by just calling him Bobby. I was also someone that was like, away from my parents for an extended amount of time. Like I wasn't living with them after the age of 14. And I know that for me, it was easy to like think of my parents by their first name. Now I would never call them that to their face because I would love to live to see another day. And so Mira, she kind of does something similar. She will always address her dad as dad, but in her head, it's easier for her to separate like this is Bobby and this is Reina, and it's easier for her to be able to be more comfortable with the idea that if something were to happen, she wasn't that close anyway, right?
Mhm. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. That PTSD response to abandonment is so real.
yeah.
I'm gonna go back on script, Sasha. So obviously the book is called Blood Moon. And I think somebody said on Sunday is a new moon eclipse. In the book, the moon isn't just something that's referenced. It's actually it feels like a character. What was the inspiration? What was the motivation behind that?
Yeah, I really love that that is something that you picked up on. I really do feel like every reader is teaching me more about the book than I even anticipated. I knew that Blood Moon, that the moon in the story would play a big role, and I really just liked using it as an analogy for other things, right? Like when you think about the phases of the moon and it's consistently changing all the time, it is going through this journey of trying to become whole again, right? And so whenever I think about Mira and Julian and even Seven, I think about them in these phases of trying to find their whole complete self. And so it was easy to have the moon really feel like a character in the story because internally the characters are going through a similar phase, right? They're always changing. They're either crescent or waning or gibbous or whatever the phases are of the moon. That is kind of where they are. And the other thing that I love about the moon in particular is that it is opposite of the sun almost at all times. And so
Mm,
I felt like having it in the story and pointing it out as character really helps like put a dissonance between like reality and also paranormal. Like these things are separate, but in this book they kind of come together. And I think there's one scene in the story where Mira is going off to class before she talks to Julian and asks him all these questions, right? And she mentions that the moon is still in the sky and it's like refusing to go back down, even though the sun has already come up. And I think that that was such a, not that I realized it in that moment, but I felt like my inner self was thinking, like, okay, this is cool because Mira is about to find out something revolutionary about this town and about her family. And all at once, the moon is going to be in the sky, and so is the sun.
right.
Mhm.
I love that.
Okay. So Blood Moon blends speculative elements with real themes of mental health and healing. So, how important was it to ground the fantastical elements in the story with the lived emotional truths that Mira faces?
It was super important for me. Again, like Mira is a very complex character. And when you add paranormal elements like vampires and werewolves and witches, like, how can we use this to help move her character development forward as well? And also, what is that saying about the state of the world in general, right? Like, vampires are using you for a very specific reason. They want your blood, and it's a selfish kind of thing. Mira struggles with feeling selfish sometimes and feeling like she might think about herself more than she should, especially after her mother has abandoned her. And then when you think about werewolves and witches, I think in particular werewolves have been seen in media to become these angry, aggressive creatures that don't really have control over when they change. In this book, I wanted to rewrite that kind of history, but we do still see Mira struggling with her own personal anger and how she is able to kind of work through that in her mind. And also how, at the end of the day, anger will eventually be a gift for her. And all about how she uses it and how she directs that feeling and emotion.
Mm. And I think with Mira, she's she's entering college, but she's still navigating a lot of her girlhood, a lot of like her mother leaving her, her instinct, like how does she like move in the world, who her friends are. And I think that the themes of Black girlhood, survival, imagination are core to this novel. Um, on a bigger picture, how do you feel Blood Moon contributing to the wider tradition of Black speculative fiction?
Oh my goodness. First off, I feel honored. I feel honored that it is part of this canon in history, that it can live beside so many other greats that came before me, so many Black women who've been writing in the space for a long time, but their voices have been muted because of society, right? So it is great that we have Immortal Dark and that we have This Ravenous Fate. And that those are some traditionally published books that were able to be pushed out and get credit, because it's so often that paranormal romance does not feature in traditional publishing anyway, that paranormal romance does not feature a Black character in the middle of everything. And so yeah, it's incredible. Like, I pinch myself all the time, and I just feel so thankful to be beside other incredible authors with their stories, and I really hope that it continues to make a trend, and that the people that are buying books see that we want these stories. I also feel like it really does build empathy. Like, that's how storytelling, that's like why reading is so important at the end of the day, because we're trying to put ourselves in these characters' shoes as we follow them on whatever the journey is. And so I really do advocate for diverse stories across the board, because you really get a chance to experience, quote unquote, what it might be like to be this other person that's not yourself.
Mhm.
Okay. So during the writing process, were there any scenes that surprised you, moments that just like revealed themselves unexpectedly?
Yes, there are a couple. I will be honest with you. There's a scene with Bobby kind of towards the like middle of a story, and Bobby is Mira's dad. And what surprised me about this scene is they're having a conversation where Mira's like confronting her father about what's going on, and he's kind of like in this spiral, right? He has this time where, for the first time ever, he's by himself, and now he has a mystery to solve as well, and Mira does too. And what surprised me about this scene was, I think, the emotion that both of those characters had together. I wasn't expecting it to get so emotionally heated, but I do feel like it adds to both characters' realism and made them feel real. Like, having this deep conversation with your father that you don't really want to have, but you feel like it's important to have, because on one hand, she's concerned, right? Like, is he okay? I've seen other things happen before. And also, too, like, what does he know? And what is he keeping from me when she fully feels like she should be involved in this because she's feeling like whatever this issue is, it definitely revolves around her as well. So writing that scene was really surprising to me because I wasn't expecting the emotional turmoil. And then I'll also say that like writing any of the friend characters outside of the trio was those were all scenes that were like just surprising and random because my very first draft of Blood Moon, Mira didn't really have any friends. And we were like, that feels not real. Like, she's going off to college. Like, she's going to meet people inevitably. We need her to not be alone because at the end of the day, community is so important, especially as you're trying to feel grounded again. And so we ended up adding, I ended up adding in all these side characters and every scene that they're in, honestly, shocked me. Shocked me. So I never knew what I was gonna get.
Yeah.
I love.
Yeah. I really appreciated her friendship with Naomi.
Yes,
Um, because I feel like outside of the core group that she first meets, Naomi really becomes surprisingly a really good friend to her throughout the novel.
I love Naomi. She's so fun and so witty to write, and I feel like she's that friend that's obviously gonna like ride for you, but she's also gonna be honest, right? Like she's probably gonna call you out on your shit, and she's gonna, but she's also gonna be a good time too. Like she's there to be like, hey, like this is a new part of our lives. Like let's enjoy it. Let's have fun. But also like I'm concerned for you. I care for you. Like what can I do to make sure that you feel like you're supported as my friend? And I love that they meet on the first day of classes together because, as we learn, Naomi kind of has a little bit of anxiety where she's just like spitting out everything all at once. And Mira's like, this is great. This is nice. I feel less lonely now that you're here. So I like their friendship.
And it was really interesting to read, like, when they first met, and Mira's like, oh, Naomi's anxiety somehow felt soothing. I could. I'm glad you included the friendships, the female friendships. I couldn't imagine the book without it.
It'd be
I'm gonna
sad.
bring I'm gonna bring in some of the comments from the chat. So Deb has not read the book, so I just caveat that. So Deb, according to Deb, purebred werewolves are not beholden to the full moon. Can change at will, according to Deb. And then also celestially yours ask. I'm I'm asked this question, but Brittany, like, it's no cause for tension. We are not your editors. We are not your publishers. We have no dog in this fight. How long to your next book?
It's set for next year in the fall. So as long as everything goes as planned, then we should get the second book around the same time next year. And then as far as the werewolves, that's so funny. I agree. Yeah, my werewolves don't change with the full moon either. They kind of have control to shift whenever they want to, which I think is way more fun to write because it's easier for them and also vampires to blend in and try to be part of society when they don't have those limiters placed on them. It would have been more of a challenge for sure trying to get everyone to believe which character is what if we had those barriers in place.
Agreed. So for my next question, the trio, like, they're all in a dance troupe. There's that amazing scene where they go to like the house party. Um, Music and rhythm seem to pulse through the prose. So my question is, what was the playlist? How can we find it? Is it on Spotify?
Yes, and yes, and yes. It is on Spotify. It's called Blood Moon Book Playlist. And I'm obsessed with it. So everything on that playlist is a mix of a little bit of every genre. So we have Paramore, we have we have Mac Miller, we have Drake, we have Hosier. There's a little bit of everything. I was listening to a lot of Paramore though. I think um, Haley Williams just has a voice that kind of transcends time, and it takes me back to what I felt like my angsty self when I was in high school and when I was starting college. And it made it easier to write Mira as a character when I was listening to angsty music written by a woman for the most part. So that was a lot of fun. But Blood Moon Book Playlist is a playlist, and there's a
Found
decent
it.
amount. Yeah, you found it, you said?
Yeah, I was like, it took me a second, but I was like, I'm
Oh,
excited.
good.
So I'm gonna drop it in the chat. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay. Um, so the next question, right before we go, oh wait, actually I thought we were gonna go to this or that next, but we still got a couple more.
Yeah.
um, so your debut, The Undead Truth of Us, was also deeply atmospheric and emotionally rich. What lessons or shifts in craft did you carry from that book into Blood Moon?
Yes. Oh my goodness, my debut novel, my baby. I think what I carried over from The Undead Truth of Us to Blood Moon, and really what I carried over to my second book as well, The Dark Place, was this idea to stay true to the reason why I started writing in the first place. And that is because I love the art of story. I love storytelling, and I really love prose. I think that like that comes across in Blood Moon, but I think it's more apparent in The Undead Truth of Us because it's such a niche story, and it was easier to have these um, interesting prose because the character is really trying to discern what's real in her life, and because she's going through all this turmoil, it makes sense that her line of thinking and her words come out in these weird ways. So I tried to carry some of that over into Blood Moon, but I also wanted it to make sense because this was my first attempt at writing a more commercial book. It's also my first attempt at writing a fantasy book, and like writing for an audience is already really, really hard. So I have to like narrow it down. I don't want anything to be too weird that it's hard to like enjoy the story, but I still wanted to blend in some of my roots as well.
Yay. Um, I know we have a couple more questions. I'm gonna go up some questions in the chat. So Book Sharpie asks, what about Julian's dad? And I think it's talking about vampires. Book Sharpie, if you want to elaborate in the chat what your question is, but Brittany, if you want to respond to that, you can, but no, you don't have to.
So Julian's dad, we don't actually learn a whole lot about in Blood Moon. He is not we actually don't really, we only learn about Julian what Mira learns about Julian because we're following her perspective. And so, um, Julian's dad is someone that's not in his life, and it does shape who he is as a person, and it also shapes how he moves and breathes in the world. But that's as much as I can share about Julian's dad.
I love it. Book Sharpie who obviously read the book, is asked, is Naomi coming back? And Brittany, you can say, I'm not going to answer that question, or you can answer that question. I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, all of the characters that I would say all of our main cast that we met in Blood Moon will also be in the rest of the series. Fingers crossed, hopefully, obviously. But we should just assume that they will be featured in the next story.
Yay. Um, what's a question that you wished we asked that you wish we asked you or other readers would ask you, but they don't?
Oh my goodness. I'm like thinking. I feel like I had an answer to this and it just fled. The thing is, like when I was on the book tour, there were so many questions that were asked, and I always remember the most common ones, but the niche ones, I'm like, dang, I wish I would have kept on to that because I wanted to like pocket them for later. But I would say, let's see, what was one of the questions that I wish that I would be asked a little bit more of? I think I wish I would be asked a little bit more about like the world building for Blood Moon. It is a it is set in our current world. So obviously that part of the world building was kind of set up for itself. But building out the lore and the legend of these vampires and werewolves and their history in a town that I made up in Kansas was so much fun for me because a lot of it was me kind of doing a little bit of exploration and research of the state that I'm from. Like, I'm from Kansas, but like there's a lot that I don't know about the Midwest. So I was doing some research on Kansas, and I remember I went to this museum and I learned that, you know, centuries ago, the Midwest was completely underwater. We were under sea level, it was all water. And there is a place that you can go in Kansas. I have to figure out what it's called again. And you can kind of hike. It almost looks a little bit like the Grand Canyon, and it shows the watermarks of where the sea was at that time. It's kind of like a huge living, breathing fossil. But at this museum that I went to, it had fossils of all the fish that used to live in this area. And I thought, that is so cool. Like, how can I eventually use this? And I really wanted to draw on this idea that there's so much that we don't know about where we live that just goes over our heads because obviously there's so much history. There's only so much that you can really learn about your town, right? The other thing that I learned was that timber wolves used to roam the Midwest, specifically the Kansas area, and that was a really cool piece of history that I found. And I really used this idea of timber wolves still inhabiting the area and started asking myself questions like, well, what if these timber wolves were actually werewolves? And what if they settled in this area because there was some vampires that were on their way here? What would I do with it then? And that was a lot of fun for me to do. And that's kind of why we got the mascot, the Timberwolves, because they're known in this area. And it was fun building everything around that as well.
Yay. Thank you so much. Yeah, for that response and giving us a glimpse into the level of like detail that informs the book.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting at the beginning of each chapter that excerpt from the book about Aiden. And I kind of future want to like have Mira read more of that book for us
I
from her
know.
perspective.
That's my plan. Book 2. Yeah, you know, writing the original werewolves were so interesting to me because they kind of like came to me in this visceral way. And when I was writing the excerpts at the beginning of each chapter from Adon the First, I didn't realize for a long time that I was telling a story within a story. And I was documenting his history. Like, I knew that like the history of Adon the First and Adon the Second would be important to the series. But I didn't realize that like I was writing in this particular history as part of the chapter headers, but I felt like it really builds onto the lore of this area. It really builds into the atmosphere while you're reading the story. And you're probably asking yourself, like, who is this person and why are we getting these excerpts from them? But in the second book, I'm hoping that we can explore a little bit more about Adon the First and the Second and kind of the fallout between the brothers as to why there was this this war between the two of them, and how that then influenced the way the different paranormal creatures moved in the area, because there is some tension between wolves, but we get to learn kind of like where that originally came from, and that's been fun exploring in the second book.
I'm excited to learn more when the second book comes out.
Next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should do another one of these next year when the next book comes out.
And I wanted to highlight that. So like, Brittany, your work is amazing. And I'd seen your debut in bookstores. I I have an addiction to books. Like I sell books, but I will still travel and buy books. It's odd. My partner is like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Anyway, so but and that being said, like for Blood Moon, it was Sasha who was like, "Let's do the live with Brittany," and I'm grateful you said yes. So Sasha, thank you for putting me on.
Yeah, like I was earlier this year, I was trying to identify books I wanted to talk about. And since I saw you posting about Blood Moon for like the longest, I was like, I want to do something for Blood Moon.
Oh, that brings me so much joy. It's like marketing a book is so hard, and trying to consistently market a book in a space where you already feel vulnerable because anyone on the internet can respond to anything. It's really hard. So it's incredible, though, the amount of people that I've been able to meet and impact and like be as excited for Blood Moon as they are. And so I'm honored that you were like, yes, I see her talking about it. I want to talk about it. I want to read the story. That brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, and our final question before this or that is, can you read us a short excerpt?
Yes, I can. I have it marked in my book here. Okay,
Oh, your book is
so
different from our book. It looks like.
this is a special edition from Al Crate. And
Ooh,
that is why it's different. But I
fancy.
used it because it has this like tabby,
Tax.
and it was
Okay.
the closest thing I had to a bookmark near my desk. So that's why it looks different.
Okay.
Okay, here is our excerpt. And then I considered, what if they were the monsters? Albeit, each one of them appeared human, so the theory didn't stick quite right. Another thought, what if, perhaps, like my mother, they worked for someone as terrible as a monster? Someone who controlled what they did and when. It was a loose concept, but it would explain why Julian knew so much about the necklace, why he was aware of the thing that threatened my safety. I've lived here my entire life, and never in my adolescence had I considered the lore in this town to have any truth to it. But now, in this upside down reality, there was something feral about it, unbecoming, and the simple thought of that unveiling was something I couldn't shake, because whatever just happened here had to be magic.
Mm.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
A good
Spoiler.
teaser.
Yeah, spoiler, not spoiler. It is magic. We're all magic. I love it. I'm here for it.
I love that. Yes,
Um,
yes, yes, yes.
so now we get to my second favorite part of the live. My first favorite part is everything we've been doing thus far, and that is the this or that. I will give y'all two options, and y'all can respond rapid fire to the one you like the most. We'll discuss it. If y'all are watching out there in TV land, you can drop your response in the chat, and I will bring it into the conversation. Um, Bones and tulips. Ooh, interesting combination. Is apparently ready, but I think she's responding to the excerpt, which was amazing. Okay, first this or that. Solar eclipse or lunar eclipse?
Mm, a solar eclipse.
I would
Ooh,
say lunar eclipse. I don't have a reason though.
Me either. That was just what my gut was saying. So we
you
went with
don't
that.
have to have a reason. I'm actually surprised, Brittany, that you picked solar.
I genuinely was like, wait, do I know the difference between the two of these? So, Blood Moon is the title of the book. Okay, there is a moon. But listen, there's a lot I don't know about the eclipses, and that is what surprises me the most. So I went with solar because it sounds similar to the sun.
Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Like when I hear
And
solar, I think of the whole thing that happened. I think it was last year where like the sun and there was something going
Yes,
on with the sun and they gave out the special glasses and
yep,
everything.
yep,
there was an
And I
actual
was like,
eclipse. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, because I live in New York. So like myself and my coworkers walked to Central Park to look at it, but I think I missed it. Like I was looking away and then I looked up and it was over. So like I wasn't planning on going, but my coworker was like, here's the glasses. Let's walk over there. So I was like, whatever.
Let's do it.
It's
Let's
out of
do
work for a little bit.
it. And also, Brittany, you are unique in your response because Lunar is sweeping. Um,
Everyone's choosing Lunar.
and I love it. I love your uniqueness. And this is the first time I've asked this question, so I love it. The next one celebrates Celestial Yours did see the last solar eclipse and she said it was absolutely neat. The next one is a celebration of Black female vampires. So Claudia from Interview with a Vampire or Tara Thornton from True Blood.
I'm gonna go with Tara because I actually haven't seen the new Interview with the Vampire. I know I haven't seen it
No,
because
me neither.
thank you. Okay, good. When it came out, I was in the middle of writing Blood Moon, and I knew that I would like it way too much, so I didn't want to be influenced by the media. So I have been putting it off, but like it's on my watch list. Okay, I'm excited about this show, and I haven't been spoiled. Well, I've
Okay.
seen the movie, but like I haven't been spoiled from the TV show.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
we
I've
want to
seen
talk about it.
parts
And
of the
then
TV show, but not the whole season. I would honestly, I go with Tara, but I feel like Tara and True Blood had such a like she went through the like most struggle life throughout the whole of True Blood. I was just like,
Oh, it was so frustrating.
it was
And
the
it is
most
so
frustrating thing.
I
yeah.
I didn't even, honestly, I didn't even watch the last season of True Blood in protest. I was like, I can't watch this no more. So
the
I stopped at season 6.
Yeah, the only person that had it worse than Tara was Bonnie Bennett. And I was like, oh my God,
Oh,
could this
of
poor
course.
woman catch a break?
That is
So,
true.
Yeah,
That is
no.
true.
I
I
don't know.
like Tara. I would say she for me felt the most promising the first 2 episodes of True Blood, and then they set her up for every, like you said, every awful thing that you could imagine someone going
Happened.
through. Tara went through, and like it just made me so mad. I didn't finish out True Blood. Don't like how her story ends. It's not good.
I don't
It's
even know
not.
how it ends.
I
I
won't,
erased the whole thing from my mind.
I won't
That's good.
even lie. I did watch every single episode of True Blood. And surprisingly enough, it's between like, how could I not watch Lafayette? Like, I couldn't. And so between
Oh my god.
Lafayette and Eric Norton, they had me in a chokehold. So,
Oh my god.
but y'all, everything you say is 100% right. Um,
Lafayette was my favorite character. That
uh,
was it. On True Blood.
yes. Okay.
Um,
Um, this is a three-way question. Vampires, werewolves, or witches?
Mm,
I'll go with werewolf. I'm
I'm
like,
gonna werewolf. That was gonna be probably one of my answers. Obviously, werewolf. But I think I'm gonna go with witch here.
Oh,
hmm,
yay.
Yeah.
Um, we're split. So I say witch. I'm witches all day, every day. But there's vampires. You said werewolves. So we're all supernatural beings are getting love. And then for favorite vampire, that was also kind of split. There are a couple Tars, there are a couple Claudias. Um, Tribrid, yes, and also
Try.
they're the
Right.
Sharks.
That's great.
right.
Love it. Dreams or memories?
I'm gonna go with
Mm,
memories.
I'm gonna go with memories as well.
I think I'm gonna
Um,
go with dreams. I've had some wild dreams lately, which is weird because for most of my life I never remembered my dreams.
I don't
Wow.
remember my dreams. Like, I feel like I wake up and I feel like the wisps of the dreams just float away when I wake up because I don't remember nothing.
You gotta write them down. And like I had one dream and I was like, oh my God, this dream is so crazy. I gotta write it down. And I did not, and I totally forgot the dream. But anyway.
Oh my goodness.
I
I feel
have,
like dreams can be like terrifying. Like I have some nightmares. So I'm thinking like I would rather choose an impactful memory than a dream because crazy stuff happens in my head. Like just the
True.
Yeah.
craziest stuff. I don't want to be stuck there.
In the
Yeah.
chat, Dream kind of swept. Book Sharpie said a
Yeah,
mix of both.
dreams are sweeping it out.
They
Um,
are winning.
they
Ooh,
really
Deb
are.
has a great answer. Dreams are how my ancestors visit me to give me wisdom. Ooh, boo.
Okay,
Deb,
Deb,
write that down in a notebook someplace.
that
Um, last question. Writing at dusk or writing at dawn?
I love writing at dawn. But here's the thing. I really love sleep, which makes me neither a morning person or a night person. I just like sleeping.
You
So I, but the like idea of getting up early before the sun comes up and like right when it's coming up is a very relaxing feeling for me, and I've gotten so much done creatively. And recently, I've been writing at night for the second book, and I'm still productive, but it's just not aesthetically like my favorite thing ever because my husband's a night owl. My dog's like licking her feet or something. It's just like I need peace.
I love it. And one thing that was so funny was like at one point, it's college. Marabella's like late to class, and she's like, "I'm never late." And I was like, "Wow, what a feeling!" I stay running late. I was like,
uh,
what is this?"
oh,
That's the magic to me. That was the most magical scene in the whole book. I was like,
yeah.
Stop. That's
In
so
college,
funny.
I was always late. I'm like in high school, I was always late. It's not until like I started working my, full-time job that I started being on time places.
and I had a corporate career for decades, and I was people like, "How did you manage your work?" I was like, Anyway, so good on Mira. I love that she's always on time. Um, that's this was great. Okay, you look tired. It looks like you need to
Oh,
get some.
I just yawned. The day's got away from me.
I'm like, and I'm already at 8 p.m. Everybody else is late. Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got like I don't remember what PM and CST or PM and P whatever whatever time zones y'all are in. I'm later.
yes, yes. I think it's approaching 9 p.m. where you're at. It's 8 p.m. where Brittany's at. It's 6
Yeah,
p.m.
it's already
here.
yep, it's 9 p.m. It's 9 p.m. My day is almost over, for real, for real.
Right. Get some rest. Deb says outside of the military, the only time I was early was when I was born. You and me running on the same clock, sis. We can go through this together. Okay.
I was like, oh man. But
Two.
one thing I will note real quick about Mira running, I love how she hates it, but it gives her peace. Like
Yes.
that was so interesting.
Okay. There is a story behind this, and like, there's a. Okay. I hate working out. But the type of working out that I do love is dance.
Mm,
And the reason why I love it so much is because when I'm doing it for a long enough period, it starts to like elevate like all of the happy drugs in your body, like the natural happy endorphins. And running is similar because I have, attempted to be a runner at one point. And the thing about running is starting is awful. Once you get into the middle of running and you feel like you could just go all day, then makes you feel so good, so happy. I personally never got to the point where I was feeling like I could go all day, which is why I just stick to dance because that's my happier form of exercise. But those happy endorphins, like after you're done working out, you just feel so good. You're like, I can do anything. And that really helps Mira. That helps her out a lot.
yeah. I agree.
I was
But
like,
when I
I
was
wanted to point that out before we end because, like, I remember it really stuck out for me.
yeah, she's like, I feel good after mile 3. I was like, we got to get all the way to mile 3.
Yes.
Oh, I'll catch you on the other side. Click this arrow if you want. If you enjoyed this conversation, click this arrow. Follow us on Instagram. You can have conversations like this all the time. We are here discussing Blood Moon by Britney S. Lewis. It's available wherever books are sold, including Sistah Sci-Fi, our editions, special editions, not as special with Britney's though, and signed via book plate by Britney S. Lewis. Y'all keep reading. You're magic.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It was so much fun.
It was really fun. I'm glad my Wi-Fi started acting right.
Yes,
Same.
I'm so
Same.
happy for all. We survived. We did it.
We did it, and I'm dancing. And see you next year for book 2.
Yes. See y'all
Yes.
next year.
Yes.
Bye,
Bye.
Brittany.
Bye.
Bye, Sasha.
Bye.